Good afternoon, church. Welcome to the second concert of the Maynard Memorial Concert Series. I, for one, am pleased that I'm not the one performing in front of you today because the people who are coming and performing for us are dear friends of mine. And as the poster said, they are part of the talents of Shenandoah Valley. So thank you for your support. Thank you for coming here. We have a lot of events coming up, and all of them are free will events. So please give however you can to support these loving musicians. Allow me to introduce them to you. Let's start with Isabel Pearson. Isabel Pearson is a composer, flutist, and pianist from Bozeman, Montana. Her music is deeply inspired by the landscapes and weather patterns of the American West, often exploring the relationship between sounds and places. Emotional connection and memory also shape her compositional voice, with timbre and layered textures to evoke vivid feelings and defining moments. She has written for ensembles ranging from orchestra and wind band to chamber groups and soloists. An active performer, she regularly presents solo and chamber recitals, pit orchestras, and appeared at the Missoula and Bozeman Symphony Orchestras and Montana Youth Symphony. As a German-American citizen, she appreciates the exploration of culture in music and in art, and strives to program a wide variety of music to represent such. She holds bachelor's degrees in composition, piano, flute, and German at the University of Montana, and is currently pursuing and about to graduate and finish her degree in Master's in Composition at James Madison University. The next featured musician is Dr. Stephen Brancaleone. Dr. Brancaleone is an avid pianist from the Harrisonburg area. A collaborative artist, he has worked with faculty, students, and guests at James Madison University, working with the likes of Matthew Nelson, Andy Hudson, Anthony Taylor, and Jameson Walker. In 2022, Stephen participated as an artist in the Nightingale Opera Theater Summer Program, where he partook in the production of Jake Heggie's If I Were You and Hans Bridger Herrith's A Certain Madness, under the opera direction of Cynthia Skelly. Working with the JMU Opera Theater since 2019, Stephen has been the rehearsal pianist as well as music director for the 2021 and 2022 season. He's played piano in productions such as Britten's Turn of the Screw, Gounod's Faust, Mozart's Don Giovanni, Stravinsky's The Rake's Progress, Glass's Fall of the House of Usher, Gilbert and Sullivan's The Pirates of Penzance, and multiple scenes concerts. Outside of JMU, he has collegiately participated at the Brevard Music Festival in North Carolina and the Saarburg Music Festival in Germany, performing solo and chamber repertoire for a variety of audiences. He earned his doctoral degree from James Madison University under Dr. Paulo Steinberg, and he earned his bachelor's and master's degree in piano performance under Joel Schoenhals. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce our first performer, Isabel Pearson.
Oh, there we go. Awesome. So what you first heard is from Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, his Sonata Number 4 in E flat, which I think exemplifies a lot of things we love about Mozart, his playfulness, his lyricism. He wrote this in late 1774. It has 3 movements, his beautiful adagio, a double minuet in the middle, and an allegro. And he wrote this during a visit to Munich as part of a set of 6 pieces. And this is a piece we can really hear Mozart in his early 20s. He's exploring his virtuosity, his lyricism, and dexterity of the fingertips. Some might say this sonata is a little less pianistic and has some tricky little jumps in there, and he was really discovering kind of what worked and what didn't. And this is also during a time where the piano was evolving quite a bit, and so he's enjoying the new melodic abilities of this instrument. Another interesting fun fact of this sonata is Mozart didn't start many of his sonatas with a lyrical first movement, as you noticed, and it was only a couple times that he did so that makes this sonata stand out in particular order. For this next piece I'll be playing for you, we have a piece called Ondulando by Heitor Villa-Lobos. And ondulando means wavy or also undulating, and you'll hear that throughout this piece. Villa-Lobos was a Brazilian composer, conductor, guitarist, and cellist, very multifaceted, and he was very, very famous and well-known specifically for his Brazilian art music. A lot of his work is reconciling this difference between European and Brazilian tradition, and so you'll hear, with a lot of moving texture and notes in this piece, a very romantic melody on top. So I hope you enjoy the next piece, Ondulando. my little notes and my horrible scrawl. It didn't get any better from elementary school, unfortunately. So for this last little selection of pieces on piano that I'll play for you, I'm playing two pieces from Fanny Mendelssohn Hensel's Opus 8. Some of you definitely may have heard of Felix Mendelssohn. He was very famous for kind of reviving Bach in the later periods. And his sister was an equally competent, if not more so, pianist and composer. And of course, due to the time, she was not allowed to pursue composition and music in the same way that he was. And she often had a lot of her works published under his name. There's actually a very funny story about Felix Mendelssohn presenting to the Queen because she loved this Easter sonata so much. And she said, well, did you write it? And he had to admit that his sister wrote it, which must have been a little awkward at the time. This selection of pieces, Opus 8, is from her Lieder collection, which is an art song. And her Lieder always have a very singing upper melody and then kind of maybe fluff or flourishes underneath. And the tricky thing for the pianist is to bring out that upper melody and thinking of it like a vocalist would sing it underneath. So in this set, I'll be playing number 1 and 3, but I'll be flipping them. And so number 3 is a very heartfelt piece, I find. Fanny Mendelssohn's music to me is often very stormy, and there are studies and papers written about the fact that this might have been because many female composers at the time were very repressed, and so the music they did release was very angsty to kind of represent that repression. But this is a very tender melody that she writes in this one. And then number 1 is also very beautiful. It has a little bit of more of that angst you'll find very moving, and has a very beautiful line at the very end of the piece as well. So I hope you enjoy Fanny Mendelssohn's Opus 8. We'll start with number 3 and end with number 1. that was number 1. And I just, sometimes you sit down and you just play what's in front of you, and today that was number 1. So I will close this program with number 3. So we're back. I have a new instrument. And, oh, my beautiful notes are out of order. Very good. Well, this next piece we'll be playing for you is by Paul Taffanel, and it is called Andante e Pastorale Scherzatino. And this piece is a very beautiful French flute piece. The French wrote beautiful flute music, and part of the reason for that is the Paris Conservatory. Every year they commissioned a flute piece for the competition. So we have a whole book in the flute repertoire that was just dedicated to flute competition pieces for this conservatory. And they are all really beautiful, lyrical. There's technical passages. There's scary things that make us shake a little bit because we're like, whoop, can I play that? And that was all part of the point. They wanted to kind of test the limits of the instrument. This particular flute piece was written in 1906 for the flute competition, and it was dedicated to Paul Taffanel's student Philippe Gaubert, who is also a very prominent flute music composer. And it was also his final piece that he wrote. So it is very special in this way, and it has this beautiful pastoral, peaceful opening, and then we have a playful little scherzatino that follows. So I hope you enjoy. That's such a lovely piece. I like that one a lot. Alrighty, so our next piece is a little bit different in the flute repertoire, not super well known. This is called Mermaid Song by Lucia Garuta, and this was written in 1928. And this is a really cheerful piece for this particular composer. Lucia Garuta is a Latvian composer, and a lot of her works are very dark, very moody, maybe similar to Fanny Mendelssohn in that regard, but with beautiful, impressionistic, romantic kind of style. And this piece is very lovely, kind of very sparkling, and it really has like this chamber music feel. We're gonna kind of cycle through a really lovely low melody in the flute, and then we'll kind of pick it up with something a little sort of, I think like a little fairy dancing a little bit every time we play it. Lots of trills, just sort of something sweet in between. This is a lovely composer, and if you have a chance to look her up on the internet later, I very much would. But this is a nice taster. So we'll play next Mermaid Song. Okay, we've made it. So the last piece on the program is a piece that I find very special, and this is a piece written by Erwin Schulhoff. It's his sonata for flute and piano. And so Erwin Schulhoff was a Polish composer in the time, and he is one of those unfortunate people to be snuffed out during the Hitler Nazi regime. And he was born in Prague, and he was very familiar with the Second Viennese School of Music, which has composers such as Arnold Schoenberg, and he really liked to explore tonality, he liked to explore color, and you'll notice there's a lot of technical playfulness in his music, but I also think that his music is very reminiscent of the time and predicting the darkness that would follow. So even in his most positive melodies, there's an undertone of uncertainty, and I think that's what makes it so engaging. Music always reflects the time we're in, and I think you can really see that in this sonata. This piece was written for a friend of his, and in 1927 it was premiered. So very similar timeline, just a year before the last piece was written. And it's really a mix of impressionistic music and jazz. You'll hear that especially in our first movement. It's a raucous, moving piece that doesn't really give the flutist any time to breathe, or the pianist for that matter. And then we have a blistering scherzo. I called this a goblin dance to my teacher because I felt like some creature dancing through the woods. She didn't like that very much. But also a little bit raucous, very mischievous. Then we have a very haunting aria that follows with kind of, in the piano, there are always these eighth note movements, and I think of that like time. Time is always moving, and the flute sort of floats on top. And then it finishes with this rondo, which has this kind of bittersweet melody on top, very playful, and yet also a little bit uncomfortable, I would say. Erwin Schulhoff died in 1942. And due to his Jewish descent, very early on in Germany, he was not allowed to perform anymore or have any of his music performed, and was driven out of the area. And due to his sympatheticness with communism as well, that led to his death at the time in a camp in Würzburg, Austria. So I hope you enjoy Erwin Schulhoff's Flute Sonata.
Thank you so much, everyone, for coming and supporting Isabel and Dr. Steven. They're very excited to meet you, so if you have a few moments, they will come out. We'll have a little bit of a conversation. And once again, thank you for supporting the Maynard Memorial Concert Series. The third concert is going to happen 2 Sundays from now, I believe, 3 Sundays, on March 22nd, and it's going to feature a mezzo-soprano with yours truly as the collaborative pianist. So thank you for your support.